Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Arizona Sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
Salvage is not a pretty word. It's the kind of word you might associate with a junkyard, a landfill, or maybe even Sanford & Son. But to date, it's been the best thing about the Diamondbacks. They know how to absorb ugly losses and salvage a series before angry Valley baseball fans get back to work on Monday morning, and they did it again this weekend against the Padres. But you wonder, how long will salvaging series be acceptable? Because even though it might not feel like it, time is really on their side. The Diamondbacks are only 4 National League teams with winning records. 3/5 of their starting rotation is injured, and soon there's going to be a steady drip return of injured players. But there is collateral damage to all of these disappointing outcomes, and over the weekend, some of the angriest fans turned hard on Torey Lovullo, while Vinny couldn't find the Diamondbacks on television at a local sporting establishment. So we're back to that routine again. And I really do feel bad for Torey, because I think he's a great manager. He's perfect for Arizona, and now he's stuck with a really bad hand, a really bad rotation, and really high expectations. Because we all know this is true. Nobody in Arizona rallies around mediocrity or moral victories or salvage series, especially in a fickle bandwagon jumping sports town like this. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW, who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com. I knew I could count on you, Vinny. Elizabeth, I'm coming to join you.
There's a lot of salvaging going on.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned it in the blast, can I tell my story real quick?
Yeah, please do.
Thursday, we have Derek Hall on. I asked him the question, as somebody who spends entirely way too much of his life in sports bars, I've noticed the lack of Diamondbacks games on local establishment televisions is far worse than I ever remember. And you know me, I'm pathetic. I've been following this for quite some time.
Oh, yeah. This is a Vinny pet issue.
So
Yep.
Friday, I was at a local sports bar that has several different locations around town. Their name will be spared. I'll let you do your own detective work. I was there before the game started. When the game started, I asked, do you think the TV in front of me, I could get the D-backs game on? I'm always polite.
Mm-hmm.
And after about 10 minutes, channel wasn't changed. The bartender came back and said, you know what? I talked to my manager, and we don't get that channel.
Oh, what channel would that
and
be?
I said, do you have DirecTV? And she said, yes. And I said, well, then you get that channel. It's channel 686. Oh, hold on. Let me go check again. So then the TV in front, you could see somebody messing with the remote control and typing in just random numbers, 743, 795, 358. Never was 686, which is the Diamondbacks channel on DirecTV, actually typed into the remote. A couple minutes after that, the manager comes by and says, yeah, we don't get that package. And I said, what package is that? She said, the MLB package. And I said, well, that's weird, because you have several other TVs on that have MLB package games showing right now. Well, we don't get that channel. And I said, well, I don't think you typed in the right channel. Oh, I did. We don't get that channel.
Oh, boy.
And I said, you're telling me you haven't shown a Diamondbacks game here in this establishment all season long? Oh, we did a couple weeks ago when they were on FS1. I should probably get that channel sorted out because people have been asking.
Oh, man.
Now, we have a coworker who lives in that area, and texted him, and I said, hey, have you been able to watch Diamondbacks games at this establishment? He said, yeah, all year.
So there's a disconnect,
So I think my question to Derek Hall about the message not getting out there on the D-backs is turned out to be pretty prophetic.
Well, yeah, I would agree with that, and I also, because I've run into this a little bit at times as well, and it's once again because the team isn't red hot compelling in terms of this bandwagon jumping market.
You're exactly right.
There's just not that urgency that you got to have the D-backs on, because if you don't, you're going to have 50 people asking for it.
Yes, but and I struggled with the story, and I told you the story off the air.
Mm-hmm.
And I struggled. Do I want to tell this on the air? Because people in this town, the response when you get upset at that, people will say, "Oh, they're not playing good anyway. Who cares?" That pisses me off even more than them not being on the television.
Yeah.
When do we graduate to actually supporting our teams, win or lose?
Especially a team that did all the right things in the winter.
Yes.
Right? That to me, and again, the Bailey.
A team that's trying to win.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a team, and again, the Bailey, the criticism of Torrey got pretty intense over the weekend, particularly after the Castellanos engagement. But again, when you look at think about how many managers, I'll bet you managers forced to play bullpen games over the last year and a half. Where would Torrey Lovello rank on that list?
Forced to? I mean, technically, did they
rather than chose to?
Did they have to start Scott McGuff yesterday for 3 batters? If there was anything to criticize yesterday about the handling of personnel,
yeah,
it's like you do that for matchups in the first inning, which I've been on record, I'm not a fan of it. But when you start a right-hander to pitch against a right-hander in the first inning because you know he's coming up in the first inning, and said right-handed hitter hits one 900 feet off your right-handed pitcher, what are we doing?
When you get a team that's either flawed in its construction or damaged severely by injuries, what happens then is managers have to make really dicey decisions. And I'm not talking about how you begin games if you've got a TBA listed as a starting pitcher, but if you're in a game with Humberto Castellanos, for example, and you're like, we're not coming back in this one tonight. Sometimes you have to wave a white flag in games in which you never would think of doing so, and it looks really bad.
It does look really bad. And I saw a lot of criticism along those lines on social media on Torrey Lovello,
That's
but
exactly
over
what
the course
happened.
of 162 games, there's just got to be those games where you lick your wounds and you take it and you try to bounce back. And to their credit, after Saturday, I was like, this might be the start of a 15-game losing streak. It was that ugly. But to their credit, even with an opener and having to rely on, newer pitchers in the beginning of that game before they could get to their A bullpen, they bounced back.
Again, that's the story of the season.
It is.
Because Friday morning on our show, heading into the weekend, we're like, is this the start finally of the Diamondbacks taking off?
Yeah. And so there's something about this baseball team. They have a holy bleep moment when they lose a couple of bad games on a weekend, and their offense is like, we better win this, or we're going to be tarred and feathered back in the valley. And they come up with a robust offensive performance. They did it against the Mets, right on the brink of losing 3-4 to that terrible team.
Yep.
And so listen, the issue is here. It dawned on me over the weekend watching the Diamondbacks. I've said this a long time, that Valley sports teams really struggle with expectations. We struggle with expectations because when they're not met, you bail on a team quicker than you should bail on them. Even when things are going good, the year after a magical year is never going to meet expectations.
Yeah.
It's just something where we all, as baseball fans, we've got to commit to this baseball team. For what they did last year and what they added, you've got to sustain the belief throughout the summer.
I totally
That's where
agree.
I'm at with this.
But you said something there that just triggered a thought in my head. When can we have a magical year that actually ends in a championship?
Thank you. Thank you.
Man, that would be nice once in a while, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.